Welcome back, YouTubers, Internet, all you people out there. I'm Ryan with Inglewood Instruments. Tonight, I'm bringing you a brand new idea line, a series, if you will, on the tactics that go into doing improvisation. That is an extremely large bucket of things that we could be covering, and it is actually fairly endless. To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how to deconstruct it in such a way as to give you, like, here's how to improv. Improv could be a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And in fact, when I was in college, it was one thing to my college professor and it was another thing to the students. And I can guarantee that some of you out there will have your own opinions. And what I'd like very much is for you to put them into the comments. So before we get started, a few things to know. I will be covering a lot more things related to left hand and right hand and not as much about songs and chords right now. But if you'd like to know more about chords, I have a chord guide over on the website that's a free cheat sheet download, but there's also a paid one that really helps support the channel and my kids who like to eat. The other thing to know is that there's other free tabs and a few dollars worth of tabs over there on the website at heyinglewood.com, and I'd love to have you go access those and download those things. Now, first things first, for getting into the material tonight, I like to cover a couple of different topics really quickly. So hammer-ons, pull-offs, and slides. We're going to get to all three of those really briefly because right here is a link to an earlier video I did on hammer-ons and pull-offs. I was a little bit more long-winded in that one so that you can go watch that. And then what I'd like to do for these example ideas in this series is to kind of introduce an idea and then show you where I could go with it so that you just have something to kind of like build on your own. You could either mimic what I'm doing or you could just come up with your own idea based on the tactic that I'm showing you. So let's talk for a moment though before we get there about improv as a thing. It is a big topic because everyone can kind of approach it from the perspective of, I just do what comes to me, man, and that's their idea of improv. Or there's the more studied kind of like conservatory aspect of things where people have hammered down over and over again. They've just gone to town, woodshedded as they call it, on a particular like solo idea. And so they do that over and over and over and over and over again with a bunch of different solos. And then suddenly when they go to improv, they're actually pulling out pieces from a bag of different solos they've learned over the years, or different tricks or different techniques. So there's different ways you can approach it. But at the end of the day, all of them need to have some components that you'd have to learn as like increments. And so what I'm going to try and do is teach you some increments, some little bits and pieces that you can go and take and glue them together how you see fit. Hey, real quick, I know you're in the middle of watching this video about how to do improv stuff. I forgot something. I forgot to add into these videos practical application steps. This one you're watching is very good in theory and an idea of, but I think you're going to need exercises and kind of to-dos and maybe some challenges. I've made another set of videos for that, also just for you. Go watch those when you're done with this one so that you can kind of get some more practical, like here's what you do to learn this tactic so that you can add it to your portfolio of things to do for a song or for just improv ideas. Okay, get back to it. So today I've got a Merlin G tuned. Just because I hadn't played it in a while, I saw it over in the corner, literally, and I picked it up and said, why not? The nice thing about the Merlin G tune, any instrument that you've got, whether it's D or G, it's going to have its own properties that will inherently, I guarantee, kind of trend you towards something in your musical palette. Like if I pick up a D version of one of these, or my own instrument, this one right here over my shoulder, if I pick up one of those, they kind of have a different tonal palette that makes me think something different. So tonight we're doing this one. The first things first are hammer-on and pull-off. Now, hammer-on is when you strike a string just one time here. I'm gonna use the top string, by the way, and then you push your finger down on it as fast as possible, such that you don't deaden the string like that, but you keep it ringing by hitting it so fast that it actually creates a new note. In fact, if you don't even strike with your right hand and you hit it hard enough, you can make the notes ring. So it's strike. I'm going to also be trying to use as little bit on my left hand as possible so you can kind of see what's going on. So striking, and then I'm just slamming my fingers into the fretboard there to try and get that second note, which is that one. Now, you can do that wherever. I'm just showing you right here. You can go. But you can also do it with a bunch of fingers at one time, or like one finger already down. So you can go. And I'm finding actually, by the way, that I'm having to put my left hand on this low string because it's ringing without it being asked to. So that's the concept of hammer-on. You can go watch that other video if you'd like for more about that. Now, the reverse idea from a hammer-on is called a pull-off, where you already have your finger on a note and you want to pull down on the strings so that when you are pulling away, you're actually forcing a note out. You're striking them, but you're pulling them away so that you are getting to ring the next note. So, see, I'm not striking the string more than once. And the beautiful thing about that is, you can also do it here. So it could be index open, it could be ring to index, it could be middle, it could be anywhere in the neck. But if we take hammer-on and we put it together with pull-off, we get. And then you've got a hammer-on and pull-off, which if you do repeatedly, quickly, you get a trill. A little harder to pull off on that one, I must admit. So, as you can see, I'm only hitting the string one time and I'm letting the hammer-on and pull-off make the extra notes for me. That's actually something that if you're used to listening to like classic rock, for example, you're gonna hear a ton of that in there, those beatly solos that are out there. You'll also often hear a trill like in classical music when a violin player will go, they do that. That was a very bad impression, but that's also a trill. Okay, so I've promised you that I do a little bit of an idea of my own coming out of the gate here. Hammer-on and pull-off. I actually didn't pre-plan anything, but the beautiful thing about these instruments is that you can just wing it, right? So. That was just a way you could approach it. And by the way, I should point out, you can do all these things on the low string. I don't know that I said that. I was trying to keep it to the high string so that you could see it, but middle string. Ooh, that's actually got kind of a nicer tone to it. If you've got a G-tuned string instrument, I've just noticed as I was doing this, it might be easier for you to practice this on the middle string because this top string's got, the high notes are two strings put together that are actually, they've got a lot more string tension. So if you're playing a detuned Merlin, there's actually what's called low string tension. The strings are actually easier to push down. So in this one, kind of wish I had picked a detuned one because this has been a little bit more difficult, I must be honest. So. All right, well that's enough for me for now. I'm gonna be jumping back in with a bunch more ideas to come. So we're gonna do like slides, we're gonna do brush strokes, we're gonna do how to glue together some of the previous picking technique videos that I've made, as well as how to do bends, and then thinking about things like playing in octaves, how that could spice up what you're doing. So join me again soon. This one's been a little bit longer, but I hope it's been a good foundation for you. Let's jump in again next time. Thanks so much.